Good afternoon. Thank you, Grace. I appreciate that introduction. Welcome to Anne Arundel County. I am very excited to be here today, and my favorite part, I think, is that I can see everybody smile. I miss that. It's been a long 14 months, hasn't it? Right? Well, I'm going to say right now, I hope you all use those 14 months to sleep and build up a lot of energy, because if we work hard for the next 18 months, 2022 is going to be a great year for Republicans in Maryland. We're going to keep the governor's seat. We're also going to take key county executive seats in Frederick County and Anne Arundel County. We are going to bring efficiency and accountability to government. Now, I'd like to start today by talking about Anne Arundel, which of course is where I call home. And I'm privileged here to be serving my first term as the District 7 County Council representative. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that area, it means I am honored to represent those who live in Crofton, Riva, Davidsonville, Edgewater, Mayo, and all of South County. But beyond that, I'd like to talk about you all. You are the future of our party, and that is critical. You are important. Please don't ever forget that. Make sure to continue to use your voices. For those of you I haven't met yet, it's nice to meet you. I'd like to think it wasn't that long ago I was in college, but my daughter told her teacher the other day that I'm 237, so I might be a little farther out than I think. And actually, speaking of my daughter, although I didn't realize it at the time, I was about her age when I had my first lesson in politics, watching my mom. My mom grew up in a tenement house in Fall River, Massachusetts. She put herself through college on a scholarship, became an officer in the military to pay for medical school. I was born on an Air Force base. She then worked multiple jobs to give her kids an easier life. I remember when I was in kindergarten, she would pick my sister and me up from school and take us to a night clinic where she saw patients long into the evening to earn extra money. We didn't have childcare on those Wednesday nights, so we went with her. And she brought us in our pajamas and brought sleeping bags, and she put us in one of the exam rooms. And you know, in the doctor's office, they have those tables with the paper on them, right? So she brought crayons. And we sat there, and we could color for as long as we want until we fell asleep. And then we would lay down on the sleeping bags until it was time to go home, and she would put us in the car. She checked in on us in between patients. She showed me then that no matter how difficult things are, with hard work, there are limitless possibilities. This concept of hard work and limited possibilities has stuck with me forever, and it's something that motivates me now as a Republican to teach my children. My next major lesson in politics was in college, where you all are now. I studied civil engineering, and on its face, those two are completely separate, right? Civil engineering and politics, what do they have to do with each other? But what touches every community? Infrastructure, roads, bridges, schools, school capacity, electricity, sanitary sewer, water mains, water treatment plants, traffic problems, stormwater solutions. Everything comes back to infrastructure, especially at the local level. And engineering is about problem solving. Do we have any engineering majors here in the room? Anybody? You should consider it. It's a great major. Common sense, innovation, efficiency. You take a problem as an engineer, you take a set of constraints and all the tools you have at your disposal, and you work. You work until you find a common sense, innovative, efficient solution. I don't know about you all, but I think that's the way government should work. I spent the years immediately after college designing sanitary sewer, erosion and sediment controls, stormwater solutions, airport runways, things that sound very unsexy. But I worked within safety constraints, environmental concerns, budget constraints, and community concerns. And after years of design work, I put myself through law school. For anyone still wondering, I am still paying that bill. And I now work with government contractors who build our country's infrastructure. So when running my campaign for county council, this was a primary focus for me. Now, we're 2.5 years into that term, and it's crazy actually how fast time flies on that front. It's been challenging. We are in the council minority, so there are 4 Democrats on the Anne Arundel County Council and 3 Republicans. And that makes things challenging from the get-go, because if I want to pass even one piece of legislation, I have to have bipartisan support. I have proudly focused my time on the council, lowering the tax burden, promoting local infrastructure and then the environment, and eliminating unnecessary, unsupported obstacles for homeowners and small businesses. Now, I can't go without saying Matt Pipkin, my legislative aide. I think many of you may know him. He's a rock star, right? Let's give a round of applause for Matt. Matt, if you're watching, I hope you see this. So my team hit the ground running in year 1. We set up a septic task force to consider the health, environmental, and financial impacts of failing septic systems in the county. I know it's really gross. Did you know that failing septic systems are a major contributor to nitrogen pollution in the Bay? Huge, right? I think it's the 3rd leading cause of nitrogen in the Bay. Did you also know they can contaminate drinking water? Really gross, right? I think you all have lunch after this, so I will leave it at that, but I'll just say it's really gross. So from that task force came 4 pieces of legislation. All those bills incentivized homeowners with existing homes and failing septic systems to convert to public sewer through a variety of programs. And you know the best part? We did this without raising any taxes or fees. So it's possible to do infrastructure and environment fiscally responsibly. In year 2, we set out to reduce the tax burden on our residents. I was the lead sponsor of 4 bills to that effect. We eliminated the administrative fee for public safety officers who are applying for a property tax credit. We implemented a new property tax credit for service-disabled veterans. We put a 75% reduction into the outrageous short-term rental fee that the Democrats on the council had previously passed. And we led the effort in raising the county's savings account maximum, also called the Rainy Day Fund, to protect against future tax increases when the county runs into revenue shortfalls. And for anyone who watches the Anne Arundel County Council meetings and the county executive, we know we're going to run into revenue shortfalls because our county executive can't seem to put a budget forth that doesn't have a structural deficit in it. Last year, $25 million structural deficit. And then you'd think this year, with the federal stimulus dollars and everything else that came our way, he could eliminate it. This year still has a $20 million structural deficit. These budgets are unsupportable long-term without massive tax hikes. We're in year 3 now. I'm focused on those overburdensome regulatory restraints I mentioned at the start of this. So stay tuned. Tune in for our county council meetings. Keep an eye out for that. So, all right, what does this all have to do with you in 2022? You are the engineers of our state's future. You are here because you already know that increasing tax burdens and adding to ever-growing government budgets does not solve problems. You are here because you know that the Republican values offer limitless opportunities if you're willing to put in the work, right? Give yourselves a round of applause for that. Instead, when we work together, we find those common sense, innovative, efficient solutions. Now, I mentioned I'm in the council minority, so there are 4 Democrats and 3 Republicans. I am extremely fortunate to have the 2 other Republican council members on the council, and they are amazing. We make a great team, and I love to work with them. Together, we make these important community issues a priority, and we are doing it from the council minority. So like I said, we are being very successful at bringing those common sense solutions to the table that folks can't refuse. And I say this to let you know that it is critically important that you work with each other. Just as your individual hard work is important to the future of the party, take a look to your left, to your right, to the person in front of you, behind you. Their work is equally as important, and I urge you to work together every opportunity you get. And so on that note, I'd like to leave you with a final thought. Engineers, we get dinged a little bit because we tend to focus on the minutia, right? We can really get bogged down in small details. But there's actually a lesson in that. There is no task too small, no task too mundane that it doesn't deserve our full effort when solving community problems. Use what motivates you, whatever that may be. That hard work will lead to those limitless possibilities. And it starts with you in 2022. You can make a huge difference in these critical races coming up. Even from college, wherever you may be, you can be texting polls and policy questions, right? You could be making social media posts. All these things I think you already do phenomenally, but just keep going with it. Volunteer at the polls if you're able to. Maybe you can do graphic design work. If you have a skill for that, I gotta tell you, my graphic design abilities are minimal. So if anyone has help on that front, I will gladly reach out. Analyze data. Use this group to develop policy ideas and keep a regular open dialogue with your elected officials. We are here for you. Participate. Show up, stay involved. There are limitless possibilities if we're willing to put in the work. And that leads me right back to where I started. With your effort, common sense, innovation, efficiency, 2022 is going to be a great year for Republicans in Maryland. Thank you.